is now a good time to invest in real estate? Okay. So I'm going to let you be the judge of that. This is a house I sold a few weeks ago. Okay. So, so I bought it and I flipped a house. And you know what's important for us to remember is that y'all, we don't have to choose to be only investor A, only investor B, only investor C. What my point is that we can all be at least one of these. And I think the ultimate goal is investor B, because the investor B allows other people that you do not know to pay houses off for you. Okay. I mean, who does not want to do that, y'all? I mean, seriously, you wake up in 10 years and you've got 3 houses getting $2,000 or $2,500 a month, and they're just paying you money before you wake up. I mean, does anybody think that's a bad idea?
Oh,
right. No. Right. So, all right. Well, listen, I'm going to so we're going to isolate each one of these. I do want to tell you, I'm going to answer the question directly with numbers. Is now a good time to invest when we get to investor B? Okay. Because investor B is a landlord. And do you know what I'm going to show you how to do? But I also have it print screened in this presentation, is how to look at census data from the government that is posted at census.gov. And I'm going to show you how to find what houses may be a good investment in any city, whether you've ever been to that city or not. But it gives you a lot more information than you may know is available. And especially if you are working with investors from another state, and y'all, a lot of you are right now. I mean, Georgia, just remember, Georgia is a hot investor market because of our low property taxes. Okay. I mean, seriously, I mean, our property taxes are among the best in the country. So just remember, the same investment is not necessarily good for investor A, B, and C at the same time. And so I want to talk about, as we start to go into this segment about investor A, what you may be thinking right now is, hey, I think I'm going to check out for a minute, because there's no way that I could afford to buy a house and dump $100,000 into it and then resell it, because I don't have $100,000 to fix it up. I'm going to ask you to tune back in, because neither did I when I turned into investor A. And I'm going to tell you how I did it, which is all completely legit and above board, of course. But I hope that it sparks some ideas in you, just because there's not one thing in this class that anyone on this call cannot do. So I always like to say to people when they're talking about jumping into investing is, what do you have? Time, money, or both? At different stages of our life, especially when we get older, if we've made wise investment, choices, or we won the lottery, or whatever. I mean, but I mean, we've got more money than we do time. Once you get a certain age, you don't want to hang sheetrock and get down and tile the floors and do that anymore. And maybe you don't have to. But guess what? If you're like Lori and me, guess what you don't want to do with the money that you worked really hard to save? You don't want to get 0.000125% on it and a CD in the bank. So what I want you to think of, if you are young, full of energy, willing to watch YouTube, tile floors and paint and do yard work, do whatever you've got to do in a house to bring it up to speed, because the more work that you do, the better your return on investment is going to be when you're flipping a house. And so just remember, you're not asking someone, oh my gosh, I just wouldn't feel comfortable asking someone if I could use their money and then we flip the house and then I would split it with them. Well, let me tell you, that's exactly the way I got started. So you can judge me if you want to, but so anyway, so I used to play tennis in when I lived in Phoenix, Arizona, and what you've got to think of is, when you are with other folks, that want to gain more money right now, or they want their money to work for them as opposed to them working for money. They're maybe at a later stage in life. Would you really be doing them a favor by flipping a house and splitting the profit with them, where they got to make $20,000 and you made 20 in a month, but they didn't even have to go over to the house? Call me if you're interested. I mean, yes, people want to do that, y'all. People want to do that. Don't think that people don't. But guess what? That means you have to do all the work. So we're going to look at how much time that takes. And that's what I want to ask you to think about right now. What do you want? I mean, really think about it. With investing, what's your goal? Do you want rental overage to pay your monthly bills before you wake up in the morning? Do you want tax deductions? Because y'all, you might look at that and say, Michele, don't be ridiculous. Who doesn't want rental overage? Hello, a lot of people, because if you have a W-2 job and you're already paying high taxes, the last thing you want is more income to have to pay taxes on. What you really want is tax deductions, which is number 2. So we're going to talk about how to get those as well. And then maybe it's to pay off debt. Investor A is a great way to pay off debt, because you're flipping a house, getting a lot of money at one time to get debt free and get your credit score up, because to get into the real long game, investor B, we need good credit. Financial freedom. I mean, who doesn't want that, right? Okay, so here, look, this has really, thank goodness, I made this one. I did update this one. Okay, so investor A, y'all, we're going to dive in. All right. And then I'm going to show you some pictures. This is a real life example. I bought this house in June. Okay. So you're going to see what actually really, this is a true story. So I bought it for $250,000. I bought it from an investor who said, hey, I'll sell it to you for $250,000 and not do anything to it so that you can renovate it. Or I'll sell it to you for $499 after I renovate it and you can rent it, because in this subdivision, there's no rental restriction. So I wanted to download, I'm just like all parents, I want to download, hey, I want to teach my child to flip a house. And so we did it together. And so the house was $250,000, needed about $100,000. If we had done the work, it would have been a lot less than that, but worth of repairs. So that would make our investment $350,000, and it sold for $449,000. Okay, so we're going to go through how that happened, and then what the thought processes were, because there's no reason that you couldn't look online this afternoon and you find something and go out there and look at it in the morning and just start down this road tomorrow. So here we go. Even if you look at $100,000 of gross profit, you still have to take off, of course, the buyer's commission, when you relist the house to sell it, and any concessions. Like for this house, it was actually $3,500 in closing costs, but because I rounded to $450 instead of $449, which was the actual sales price, I brought it back. And so, but still, I mean, I don't know about you, but I still think this is a lot of money. Okay. I mean, I think it is. So what does investor A think about this house in Roswell, within walking distance to Canton Street, for only $250,000?
They're excited.
They struck gold.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
So this is, this is exactly what, I walked into, and, there was a lot of things wrong. It was only 2 bedrooms. Upstairs, I put a closet in the sunroom downstairs to make it a third bedroom, since it has windows and a door. But still, it was really still more like 2 bedrooms and an office. And so I bought it, and the transformation begins. Okay, so much of having to flip a house has to do with timing, especially right now in the supply problems that we have all over. And so, what we're going to get into later is, and we're going to have a quiz about this, so I'm just giving you a little heads up. Look at these cabinets. Okay. Could I have used these? Could I have just painted them?
Yes.
You're right, I could have. why would I just paint them, or why would I get new ones?
They're a little dated.
Yeah.
I mean,
depends on the
The
area.
new ones are much nicer. I think
Have
it looks
outside
very nice.
finishes.
If-
Yeah.
To wow your client, to wow the buyer.
Right.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Charlene. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because this house I'm gonna flip. If I was not gonna flip it and I was gonna keep it and rent it, what do you think I
Right.
would have done with the cabinets?
Just painting.
Painted them.
I would have been painting those cabinets.
But when you replace cabinets, you also
I
have to
love it.
consider if there's enough margin in the neighborhood that would cover that cost as well.
Exactly. Because you've got to be able to make it back. I mean, you've got to be able to. So, we got in there, and I think one of the first things is just to do the trash out and get every single nasty thing out, including the tub, including everything. Just get it out, because there was room. And Kenneth, it was really sad, I have to tell you, even though it's still a good story, because the money was still there at the end, but the neighbor had just sold their house. I mean, it was just on the street in Roswell that just all of a sudden started selling for more in July than they'd ever sold for. And so they'd even gone over 500,000. And then my neighbor, the one right next door to me, sold for over 600. Okay. So I'm over here thinking, oh my gosh, you know what? I mean, this is it. I mean, I'm just sitting there, okay, but you'll see how the story.
You started the ball rolling for that.
Well, I wish I did. No, they did. And I was trying to jump on the train. Unfortunately, I was a little late. But I mean, we still, made a lot. But regardless, I think it's a blessing. When you think about it, y'all, when you do stuff like this, if you were doing this full time, I mean, you can do this in 4 to 5 weeks. I mean, you can do it in 4 to 5 weeks. The thing is knowing where to get your stuff, and the things that have to be ordered. Like if you do want cabinets, you've just got to get the things that need to be ordered first. Tubs like this, if I had ordered that, how long would it have taken? At this point in time, like 8 or 9 weeks or something. Or you can go to the outlet, you can go to outlet stores and get them and pick up the ones in the showroom, and so that's what I usually do. And so really, so what does investor A do when they buy this house to flip and it does not sell quickly? What does investor A do about that?
Rent it.
Rent it.
Stage it.
Well, or you can drop the price and stage with your own furniture and sit on the floor at your house until it sells. Y'all, that's
I
a
like
true
that.
story. This is my furniture in this living room. Y'all, this is no joke. It was on the market for like 3 weeks, which, right now is a lifetime. You know what I mean? Like it's for it to be on the market that long. And so I called these movers on Saturday, had them over at my house on Sunday, got my furniture out and took it over there, dropped the price. I was sitting on the floor. I'm not joking with y'all. I was sitting on the floor in my house for 3 weeks until
Really?
due diligence was over this household. But guess how long it took to sell after I moved this in here? The next day. So we put new pictures online, and that did include the price drop too. I mean, because so here's the pop quiz. Okay, so I was setting you up for it before, but why would investor A drop the price and sit on the floor at home with no furniture to sell this property? Number 2 question is, why not convert to investor B landlord opportunity, assuming that there's no rental HOA restrictions? Why not do that?
It's too much
Cash out fast.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes. Those are the answers.
What did she say?
It's because it's number one, investor A has too much cash out on this property to convert into
Yep, need to
long-term
cash
rental.
out faster.
Right. Because the thing is, remember, we would have painted the cabinets if it was going to be investor B, because the thing is, when we're building our portfolio, we need cash. We need the cash because we need 3 rental properties. And so until we have 3 rental properties, we need to spend as little cash and keep it rolling so that we've got our portfolio working. The other thing to keep in mind is if that actually would have been a great rental house, and if I had it to do over, I may have, but renovation for investor B, think about the different choices that you would make. Even if you were going to get new cabinets, which I wouldn't have, but if you were, would you get white if you plan on leasing that house for 10 years? I wouldn't.
Absolutely not.
I would really. Oh no. Right. Sustainability colors, like on the floor, sustainability colors on the wall, matte, not a lot of windows, that blinds instead of getting shutters, there's different kind of blinds, because I can tell you right now, when tenants turnkey, you typically do have to replace the blinds. So don't get blinds that you're going to get financially and emotionally attached to. Just plan on the fact that you are going to have to replace the blinds when tenants change over and you're turnkey. So just get reasonable blinds, because tenants would rather have new blinds than expensive used blinds.
Used blinds, correct.
Right. So it's just this way of thinking. And so frugal decisions, anticipating 1-year turnkey, and that's what we would be doing. So let's talk about for a minute, how do we get this money to be investor A? Okay, because really, what we need to remember, after you do 2 short mortgages, and when I say short, I mean that you had them for like less than 6 months. Okay, meaning that you got a house and then you put 5% down or whatnot, and then you sold it. So you did exactly what's in investor A, this example, which was for me when I bought it, it was around a 3-month turnaround time. Okay. So let's just say that I had that mortgage for 3 months and then I paid it off. Okay. Y'all, if I do that again, then the mortgage company is going to flag me as a risk, and they are not going to give me a mortgage because now they think I am a liar. Okay. because now I have shown them that that they're not going to make their money back on me. Because remember, how mortgage companies make money is the interest that they charge us. So if I only kept that for 3 months, did they make enough money to cover giving me that? No. They didn't even make enough money to pay their loan officer the origination fee.
Correct.
So we've got to look at different options as investor A to get money. Okay. Because investor A does not get to do the mortgage thing. Investor B does, and investor C does, just not investor A. Creative lending. I'm going to come back to this question. What do we have to offer? Time or money? And y'all, this is an excellent opportunity for both parties. And I mentioned my tennis partner earlier, that when I played tennis when I was in Arizona, which was about 21 years ago, but I'd already been investing for, I guess at that time, around 5 or 6 years. And she goes, gosh, every time you show up, you've always got paint in your hair. And so I had used the 1031 tax-free exchange to trade my 5 properties in Atlanta. And then I turned it into 13 properties when I moved to Arizona and to Phoenix, Arizona. And so when I did that, of course, I was doing a lot of painting out there. And thank goodness, you know how every area of the country has different types of just style, that's a little bit different. And so thank goodness in Arizona, they don't paint a different color, like for the baseboard and the walls, and so you could just spray, you could just spray the whole house. But of course that would lead to me coming to my tennis match with paint in my hair. And she goes, hey, so she was in her 60s, even though she looked about 40. And I was in my, I had just turned, I guess I was around 35. And she said, and she goes, hey, you've always got paint in your hair. And I mean, you're talking about real estate, and I already had my license at the time. And she said, hey, is there any way that I can get into that without getting coming to tennis with paint in my hair, because I'm not sure how much I actually want to do of that. But it was the year 2000. So does everybody remember what happened in the year 2000 with the stock market? It was not good. It was not good. And so she, being retired, she was extremely concerned and just wanted a different avenue. And I go, well, I will say, if you were to purchase it, because at this time, all I had done, I had not flipped the house, because all I was doing was getting a mortgage, and a lot of my loans were investor loans back then, and I would just put the 20, or gosh, can you believe this, even 30% down in the 90s. Yeah, I put 30% down and the interest rate was still 15.5%.
Yeah.
So those of you who are saying, is now a good time to invest? Yes, it is. Okay. So one of the reasons is the interest rate, because those of us who are old enough to remember the 90s and the interest rates, y'all, I mean, I'm not saying, oh, we need to be fearful that they're going to go back there. I'm saying it still worked. Real estate investing still worked, even when, the interest rates were 15% and you had to put 30% down as for investor loans. And so anyway, so I told her, I said, well, Diane, if you did want to get into it, if you wanted to pay cash, I would manage the project, do all the work that I personally can, and manage the people doing what I can't do. And then we could buy houses off the courthouse steps and we wouldn't have to pay for closing costs, and we would be able to flip it. And I said, and she goes, that would be awesome. And I go, well, what about if we did 50-50? And we just split everything down the middle, and you pay for the house and you can hold it in your name. We'll just have a side agreement that says that if you died, whatever. And then we'll split the profit 50-50. Okay. So y'all, this is back in the day when buying houses off the courthouse steps was just super popular for probably the first time, in 2000s. And so it is funny. I even worked bringing my son, by the way, in a baby stroller, because I thought they'd feel sorry for me. They didn't. Okay. People were still super ugly, because the people at the courthouse steps, they're trying to stop people like you and me from going and feeling like we can just drop in and buy a house off the courthouse steps. So they'll just outbid us just so we won't come back. I mean, to raise the barrier of entry. But anyway, so she said, I would love to do that. Does everybody hear what just happened though? So and I had, if you looked at the equity that I had at that time, I already had like well over $1 million of equity. The thing is, the equity is not in my bank account. It's in the houses that I 1031 tax-free exchange. So I can't get it out of there because it's defeating the purpose. So this person needed me. She was so excited. We flipped like 3 or 4 houses, just me doing that. And then what happened on the 5th house? Did I split it 50-50 with her? No, because I didn't need her money anymore, because I used mine from what I made on the first 3 or 4 that we did. And now I didn't need her money to buy houses on the courthouse steps. I could go use my own money to do it. Do you think that she was mad at me for that? No, she wasn't mad. She was playing tennis while I was doing the work, but I was so grateful. I never said, well, she's not doing anything. You know why? Because I couldn't have been making the money if she didn't give me the cash to buy them off the courthouse steps to do it. I am extremely grateful. And y'all, she was grateful. She was over here, instead of losing money now in her 401k, which she was doing in 2000 and 2001, then now she just made, over $50,000, $55,000, because while her tennis partner is out here doing all this work and then selling it and just giving her the money. Who wouldn't be grateful for that? So I just want to open your mind. If you think that you can't do this because you don't have money, well, if you don't have money and you're not willing to work, then you're right. This isn't for you. But if you are willing to work, it doesn't matter if you have money or not, because there's not a lot of people that are, and even being willing to work, really makes all of us stand out right now. And so, here's another thing to remember. When I did those repairs for her, and by the way, do you know that we didn't even negotiate that? Like we didn't even say, she didn't say, well, would you take, 40%? And I didn't say, well, what if I just borrowed the money? This is really popular right now, by the way, for hard money lenders. Like people say, well, what if I just borrowed the 250 from you, Michele, and then borrowed the 100 for me to make all of this money, and then I gave you 8% for the month and a half that I have your money? Yeah, no thanks. But thanks for asking. So y'all, I mean, we just have to be for real. Okay. I mean, somebody has given us the opportunity to get in the game, then we have to be fair. Nobody's interested in paying for all of our choices when we don't have any skin in the game. I paid for all the repairs. Okay. She paid for the house. I paid for all the repairs. And let me tell you, when we first started, a lot of it was on credit cards. So it doesn't matter. I'm going to pay them off in a month when I sell the house. So, I mean, I just want to encourage y'all, don't ask people to give you something for free. And I mean, y'all, those of us who have teenagers, okay, we all know how that goes, right? People, but I mean, y'all, we are doing people a disservice by giving folks something without them having skin in the game. And if we're surrounding ourselves by people that are going to make these preposterous, ridiculous offers like, oh, can I borrow the whole 350 and then I'll give you 8%, over a month and a half period, I would just say no taker, but thanks for asking. Okay, y'all, let people in. Use your hard work to make somebody else money so that it makes you money, and you don't need people anymore for that. And so just know that's what hard work, that's where it comes in. Look, this is funny. Okay, so will you do any of the work yourself or pay contractors? Now, when I first got started, I was doing all the work myself because it directly impacts our return on investment. Now, at least you can do YouTube training and watch somebody tile the floor and teach you to do it while you're tiling the floor. Just read the last sentence on the slide though. Will you do the work is different than can you do the work? So y'all, I'm not picking on anybody on this call. But there's probably a lot of projects in our houses right now that we can finish if we want to, but they are not finished. Okay. I just want to say, just because we can do it does not mean that we will do it. And so this is really an internal assessment question that you want to know before you get started, because can I tell you the most expensive part of being investor A is not flipping the house. It's taking too long. And then the market, and you're sitting, it's just sitting on the market. And so these are some considerations when you're deciding how much of the work that you will do, not that you can do. It's, how long is this house going to take to renovate? Just look at your schedule. Are you going on vacation? Do you have a lot of things going on? Is this one of your busy months? I mean, you've got to figure out, to figure out how much work that you're going to do if you're just getting started and you're trying to make it to your 3 houses that's going to change your life and the trajectory of your children's life, then really give it some thought and say, what's the opportunity cost of me doing the work? And I noticed I did not write break a nail in here, okay, because that does not count. It is, what we're really saying is just, hey, if you're clipping off $10,000 to $20,000 a month in real estate or your W-2 job, okay, well then hire somebody if you want to. Because, if you're going to be making a lot more than you would have saved in the ROI, then of course that's the right answer. Then hire it out. But, and what if you've got a new baby? What if you have a newborn at home? Okay, well, you're not going to be gone during all this time to start doing that, especially if you're the mom, and you're feeding. And so, but here's the thing for all of y'all, that the only opportunity cost is binge watching on Netflix. You better get yourself in the game. Okay. mean, y'all, if this is all we're giving up is binge watching TV, which I'm not going to call anybody out on this call, but I'm just saying, I'm friends with all y'all on Facebook. I see what you're writing about those shows. Then you need to get some rental houses and change the trajectory of your life and then go back to binge watching. Okay, go back to it. But we just need to take a little interlude and get in real estate and change your future. Can I tell you that this is a big problem for people that fit into a category, even if it's that your spouse makes, a lot of money, that's W-2. Here's the problem with investor A at times that, well, think about if you're only in a 30% tax bracket, many are in higher, but look at what happens to that $82,000 gain. It goes to $57,400. Can I tell you some good news? So has anybody ever gone through capital losses? Okay, like short-term or long-term capital losses? Charlie, I know you have. But like in the stock market, if you, I can tell you what some that I've done before is investing in a company, like angel investing, in something or something like that. And then the company doesn't make it, or the stock, goes down to $1. Okay. The thing is, I don't know if everyone's aware of this, but you cannot write off your W-2 or 1099 income. You cannot write capital loss off. Okay. So net capital gains and capital losses, you can't write that off 1099 or W-2 income. You actually have to write it off capital gain. So, what that means is if you were going to make this $82,000 this year, or 42 or 57, I mean, it doesn't matter, whatever you were making. Here's the thing. If you, like Charlene, if you have that capital loss, how long do you get to carry it forward, Charlene? It's 5 years, right? Like that year plus 5?
I'm not sure. But
Okay.
it does have a loss carry forward.
Yeah. So you get to carry it forward. I think it's 5 years, but check with your CPA if this could help you. But can I tell you? So if you have a loss, then do you think it would be a good idea to buy a rental house, or to buy investor a flip house and make this $82,000 gain? Because if I have an $82,000 loss, how much in taxes will I be paying on this? None. If I have an $82,000 loss, and that would be a really good reason for me to flip a house and make some short-term gain, right? So this $82,000 gain, do y'all remember where that's from? From my rental house, from that flip house that we saw
Yes.
the pictures at. Okay, so on the settlement statement, it is $82,000 more than my $100,000 of renovations and what I paid for the house, meaning that I'm going to have to pay taxes on it, this 30% in capital gains or more. If this investment that I made in this company, that basically went, from $5 to $1 in stocks, do y'all think that would be a good time? This would be a good time for me to sell my stock and take that $4 loss per share?
Yes.
Because that
Yeah.
would write off directly against this $82,000, meaning that I would not have to pay this 30% in capital gains, because this $82,000 would be offset by what I just lost in that investment that's just been sitting there for 5 years without me selling it, waiting. I haven't sold it because I was waiting to get capital gains to write it off again, so I didn't lose it. You know what? I think the short and long term, now that you mention it, I think this short and long term you can. What you just can't do, though, is take it off even dividends, y'all. Like if you pay yourself, or if you have sellers pay you as an S corp and you pay yourself a salary and dividends or anything like that from, rental property or whatever, dividends don't count either. It's only capital gains. And so that's the tough part, so yeah, I say it's tough. That's one of the reasons that I flipped the house this year, because I want to sell that bad stock. And so, the thing is I just needed something to write it off against, because you can't do it with income. So, we can talk about that more if y'all want to later, but here's the summary. Investor A I think these are good takeaway points. Flipping houses is definitely a side hustle. I mean, because here's the thing: if you make it your main hustle, flipping houses, then why not just sell real estate? You see what I'm saying? Like, you're not building anything. If you are flipping houses, you are building nothing. You're just getting, for me, like a capital gain to write off my capital loss, or to teach my son how to flip a house. I mean, and I'm not saying it's not great for a day job. All I'm saying is, investor A, you can make a lot of money, y'all, selling houses to investors. And can I tell you something? People will stop you in the grocery store, and when they see paint in your hair and paint on your clothes and say, wow, looks like you're doing a big project. Y'all, I start talking about real estate like there's no tomorrow. I've had so many people through the years ask me, well, hey, would you come look at my house? Because I think I've got stuff to do to it, before I could list it or whatever. Y'all, I mean, when you're into it, when you're doing things like these investments, you get excited about real estate and you're talking about it more. And when you're talking about it, you are a people magnet and they want you to be their agent. So I just can't encourage you enough, and the number 2 is flipping houses requires constant oversight and management. My goal for each person at Solid Source, and definitely on this call, is that you could make money without having to be present to provide oversight and management. My goal for you is that you're making money in the morning before you get out of bed, and that you are not having to spend all of this time supervising and praying that contractors show up to flip a house. I mean, like I said, it's still a great side hustle. I mean, who doesn't want an extra, 50, 15, whatever $1,000? That's awesome. But I mean, investor A is a venue to be investor B, because investor B is what is going to set us up where we do not have to work anymore, where our money's working for us instead of us working for money. Flipping houses provides documentable income. Here's another plus: to qualify for a mortgage to become investor B. So even though you may have to do a few, still, I use that to get, here's another good one, that you can pay off debt or purchase a new vehicle. Maybe you want to be investor A a few times. If you've got debt and you decide to jump into this, well, you definitely need to pay your debt off, because you might need your credit cards to fix up a house or something. But just remember, I mean, the primary goal here is, y'all, we are real estate agents and we only have to put 5% down, which actually means we only have to put 2% down, because we're going to get 3% commission back. Okay. I mean, go with me. Flipping houses, and I put this one in red, that flipping houses does not lead to waking up with rental income overage paying our monthly expenses, but it is a way to get there. So this is my suggested reading and now listening. I read this book in 2000 and I had already started investing at that time. But one of my favorite things that Robert Kiyosaki talks about in Rich Dad Poor Dad is what he calls escaping the rat race. And the definition of escaping the rat race to Robert Kiyosaki is when your investments are paying your monthly expenses. When your money is making the money to pay your monthly expenses, so that you are only working because you want to, not because you have to. And so just so everyone knows, that makes me really excited, and I hope it gets you excited and fired up too.